wouldn't have known what it was apart from the name. I wouldn't have had any idea apart from, you know, the stigma that's, oh God, that's a dangerous drug. My name's Aran. I'm a recovered heroin addict. My childhood had troubles in it, but at the time I wouldn't have known that, you know, things that caught up with me. But generally, you know, my parents done what they could. They come here from Ireland in the 60s, so it wasn't fucking easy for them. Up until then, I'd been squatting from the age of 16 in Stoke Newington, early sort of 1980, beginning of the 80s. And I'd seen people, you know, actively, you know, in the squat scene then, in the scene I was in. There were people, you know, the end of post-punk. There was a few people that I used to see gouging and putting 1mm needles in their arm. And I was a young hippie, you know, very kind of anti that. You know, my father brought me up around heroin was a no-no, you know. Drugs that were kind of psychedelic, marijuana, were okay, but heroin was a no-no. Why was I so addicted? Because it's a physically addictive drug. That's part of it. But secondly, it gave me something that I couldn't give myself, and without speaking in riddles, it took away kind of nervousness. I'm a restless person. The bereavement of my father and the grief really affected me, and it seemed to just stop all of that and just give me a sense of calm and a sense of okayness. I had a daughter. My daughter was born in 1989. And I'd become a heroin addict, and they didn't matter. You know, I was really I was robbing money off the mother. I wasn't coming home. I was more interested in the obsession to buy drugs, overtook the love for my child. Other low points, cold turkeys, not sleeping for 10 days at a time, getting beat up, almost getting killed for robbing other dealers. Being in hospital with a colostomy bag, losing half my stomach, having periods of no food, nowhere to sleep, a real deep sense of hate and just, you know, worthlessness with myself and society, deep sense of self-pity and something's done me wrong.
Did your relationships with your loved ones change as a result of your addiction?
Yeah. You know, to big extremes, you know. You have people that love you, family members, friends, you know, close associates. I was a likeable person. I had many close friends that liked me, you know, and eventually it would be Aran. We used to like you coming here, but now when we see you, you know, it's always, have you got 20 quid? There's always an agenda to it. But with my, you know, I got married twice. I have 2 children, and today, you know, they're in my life. My daughter's in America, but she came and visited after 27 years, and we spent a couple of years together over here, and she let me make an amends and, you know, build a relationship. You know, people trust you. You say, yes, I won't do it again. I give you my word, I promise. You know, I want to make my life better. I wanted to make my life better. And at the time I'd be saying that, I thought I did. But I didn't really know then what I was up against or what I suffered from. So people would see this, give you a second chance. You know, once bitten, twice shy. You know, I'm putting it into easy words. But I would just keep hurting people, and the trust they build, I would break it again. And eventually people, for their own safety, love that, you know, mothers, sisters, brothers, wives, lovers, children, for their own safety, have to say, that's it, you know. Tough love, there's many words for it, but just the kind real take responsibility and say, I'm not enabling you anymore, you know. That it's my understanding or overstanding of it is now at this age, where I am now, is that, you know, we all have a responsibility to ourselves, you know, and to each other. But ultimately, you know, I have for my own development And I believe that's, you know, spiritual connection with other people, politically, you know. What can I do? What am I doing, you know, to educate myself more about what's going on in the world? But yeah, around that spontaneous, you said, or I'd call it impulsive, you know. I think it's, you know, at times it's really worked for me. You know, I left home very young. I spent a year in Portugal. I had my 16th birthday in Portugal, knowing no one. You know, in 1980, got the magic bus down to Portugal. You know, just spontaneous moves I made then, or impulsive moves, have worked. But around sort of that kind of, fuck it, let me try it, you know? Not having a care or value for, like, whoa, you know, hold on, let me just take a moment here. Look at our society, you know. Women are told they're not good enough unless they look like this. Men are told this. You know, you're told as a person that, whatever, comes from a working class, that unless you have this, or you look like that, or you're buying that, or you're wearing this, you're not enough. So, you know, the concept of feeling, you know, worthless or not worthy or lower than is political, mainly in my eyes, which surely the human condition, from, we know, birth to death, you know, we question stuff and feelings of not fitting in, unworthiness. But that, I think, really drives it. But I know what happened to me in my childhood and how I went through life. I never gave myself a break. I didn't know about that, you know. I had my own concepts and patterns which just beat me into the ground. Every advert, every signal, every media outlet, every is telling us about, you know, these external things will somehow make me feel better about myself. And maybe for a second or two, or a month, or a day, I don't know. They do. You know, I know I'm a drummer in a band, and if I get some new cymbals or something, suddenly it gives me that, But that's very, you know, it's not sustainable. If I'm hanging around people that are saying, Aran, you know, as a child that fucking thinks I'm shit, is being told at school, you're thick, you know, left school at 13, you're useless, you'll never get a job. If I'm around people that are going, man, you know, you've got a lot to offer, you know, I really like you, you're a really solid human, you know, you really help people, I can really see, you know, giving positive affirmations, maybe there might be a difference. I was the kind of kid that liked a bit of devilment. You know, I liked being on the other side of the rails, to use a term. You know, I bunked school a lot, I didn't like authority, you know, I liked smashing stuff up, you know, not in a mischievous way, but just excitement, you know. So for me, that definite side led me, rather than going fishing or to the church or to youth clubs and scouts, I would rather bunk school and bunk into a picture house or be smoking weed in the, you know, in the park with my friends. So I think definitely if I'm on that side, definitely other experiences are going to come my way. This, I believe, from making sense of my world, believe that drugs became it for me because I was around them as a kid. So they seemed the natural, you know, this is not a fault or a judgment against my parents. But, you know, I was around lots of hash, LSD, you know, and it seemed for me the natural way to go, you know. But there was a period in my life where I ultimately rebelled against that. But once I got a taste for it, that's why I think drugs were the choice for me. Simply because it seemed I was familiar with them and they were in my lens, you know, where my lens of life was in my sphere. So for me, personally, I'd always be, you know, I loved smoking marijuana, hashish. So I'd be like, oh, I don't want to touch heroin. But I still wouldn't smoke. But I'd still have that, you know, just to, I'd come out, you know, I'd finish this program, this detox, this treatment center. They do lots of different, you know, work on yourself, life stories, did this group stuff. But I'd come out and I'd think, right, great. And the insane thing about it, Ollie, everything seems great. And suddenly, maybe the idea may come, oh, let me just try it. Oh, I'll only do it once. You know, it may be a variety of different kind of dialogues. Oh, wouldn't it be all right? I won't do it all. Rather than thinking, fucking hell, you know, rather than like a red light going on, like, I've come out of detox, spending 6 months. at home, feeling good, got some money, clean clothes. Right, it's time to think maybe I'll go to college. Start college. Can't say a month, a week, sometimes, 3 months. Well, something I'd be unaware with might happen. It might be getting pissed off. I couldn't put my finger on it, but the thought would come, well, maybe I'll just do that. And on occasion I knew, oh, that's not a good idea. Vague, I love the word vague. I'd have an idea it wasn't great, but it wasn't enough to stop me doing it. That's the insanity. I think the more we bring it into the light, the more we talk about stuff, that's my understanding, the more we talk about stuff, I'm only talking about my experience here, I'm only finding the answers slowly, or asking questions, and sometimes I've got the right answer for myself, that works. Sometimes I don't, and that's okay. I allow myself to make more mistakes today. I'm human. Making mistakes is a big part of living for me. It's a good thing. It means I'm trying out things. But or anyone who is finding life fucking tough, and life can be tough, there's helplines, there's Samaritans. I urge you, you're not alone. You're not alone. And me saying that is not a consolation, because there's times I felt very despaired and for small periods hopeless. And as much as people told me I wasn't alone, I felt very alone.